I got so fired up just now, and today is November the 22nd, 2013. I was just reading an article by Mark Asetta, and I got so fired up after reading the article, I decided that I would put together all the things and all the advice and all the platitudes I've heard over the years, and I put them to work right now. Mark Asetta was saying in his article that each and every one of us are worth exactly what we're making. He was assessing our self-esteem. However we feel about ourselves, however you feel about yourself, exactly what you feel you are worth is what you're making. He said that occurred to him at an Anthony Robbins seminar some time ago, and it was kind of brutal because he didn't want to think about it. He didn't want to even consider the fact that what he was getting was only what he thought he was worth. Now at the time, Mark Asetta was making $250,000 a year. Can you imagine? For me, making $250,000 a year is way past what I think I'm worth. Way past what I think I'm worth. He went on to say, we must assess ourselves, and that thing that we're good at, that thing that we're better at than anybody else, then we need to start doing that thing and do it well. Now you might notice I'm wearing a New York Giant football jacket. New York Giants is one of my inspirational stories, something that's inside of me, something I think about often. Every year, the New York Giants have a mediocre beginning to their season. And the reason that they're having a mediocre beginning to their season is that, as far as they're concerned, the season hasn't even begun yet. For the New York Giants, the playoffs is when the season begun because that is when you get the prize, that big old trophy. Now anybody that knows anything about sports knows that all teams come out trying to play their best. But what the New York Giants is doing is they're perfecting their game. They're perfecting their techniques because they don't really mind what happens in the early stages. Many teams start the season off doing very well, 5-0, 10-0, 12-0, and then they get to the Super Bowl to lose the Super Bowl. Not so with the New York Giants. So after considering the New York Giants, I thought, let's embrace this team concept. I'm not really big into sports, but the lesson that you learn from sports, I've been omitting most of my life. I never played football as a kid, never got into sports, never did any of that, but some of the greatest achievers in our lifetime are people that played sports. Why? Because sports teach you how to set goals. Sports teach you how to accomplish things. Now you take sports and you take relationships and you take all other facets of your life and you put it all together and you got one big sport, and that's the sport of living life. So beginning today, I'm living life. Living life means simply this. Mark Asetta talked about what you thought and your self-esteem and all that. And I've also heard platitudes to talk about deciding what to do with this moment. This moment is given to you, and it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with it. What you're going to do with the moment doesn't necessarily mean anything physical. In fact, it seldom means something physical. But what it does mean is, what are you going to think this moment? You've got to decide that you're going to think the best of yourself. And you've got to do it often. You've got to do it consistently. Which brings me to why I'm here this morning. For weeks now, I've been thinking about starting my day in the front of the camera. I mean, you're looking at me in front of the camera, and face it, I do pretty good in the front of the camera, don't I? Well, doing pretty good in the front of the camera and thinking I do pretty good in the front of the camera is two different things. I've been thinking that I do good in front of the camera for a long time. But after reading what Mark Asetta said this morning, I was inspired. In fact, I was so inspired, I got out in front of my computer, came into my home office, sat in front of my camera, and started going for it. You see, I want to encourage you today to do the very same thing. The difference between me and Mark Asetta is that Mark Asetta had decided to do what it is he's good at. I mean, what is it? He just simply gave me several tips. He downloaded some tips, some ideas, and he described it by calling it X number of things that you could do that would have you improve on whatever it is that you're doing. Whatever it is that you're doing. If you're trying to be a better speaker, the tips that he gives you will help you be a better speaker. If you're trying to be a better athlete, the tips that he's giving you will help you be a better athlete. So I'm committing today to have a show every morning. Some people start out their morning by exercising. Some people start out their morning by going for a walk. Some people start out their morning by having a good breakfast. And whatever it is that they start out their morning doing, it empowers them. But what empowers me? Sitting in front of this camera, broadcasting a television show. That's what empowers me. So I'm committing now that I'm going to guard my thoughts a little bit better, because you know the ultimate game is the game that you play with yourself. There's this thing called it that's always speaking to you in the back of your mind, and this thing called it generally is telling you stuff that is not empowering you. Well, you got to take authority over that it, and you got to train that it to start telling you the great things that you can accomplish whatever you want, the great thing that you can have whatever you want, the great thing that there is no such thing as you can't have it all, because you can have it all. And while I'm talking about having it all, I'm going to encourage you to remember this. If you could stop thinking about what other people are thinking and what other people mean, if you can accomplish that, you can do so much better. Keep in mind that many things that are done now on a regular basis, people used to think were impossible. So throw off the shackles of impossibility. Forget about the fact that you can't do it. Forget about the fact that somebody is telling you that you are not good at that. You take control over it all. I'm not telling you anything that anyone else hasn't told you, but I'm telling you right now. And I'm telling you, despite the fact that it's going to benefit you to hear it, it's going to benefit me much more to say it. Now, like Mark Assetta said, grab a hold of what you can do, adjust your self-esteem, expect the best. Expect the best. You got to expect the best, and that sometimes means nothing more than thinking that you're great at every given moment. And I might not be great at much, or I could actually be great at much, but I am great at telling you this. I am Victor Irving Jenkins. I've coined a word called Viewattitudes, and if you change your view, you can change your attitude. So I encourage you, change your view if your view is not that you're great. Change your view if your view is not that you can have it all. That, my friend, is my view attitude for today. As we have understood what the view attitude is, if you change your view, you can change your attitude. So, if this has benefited you, I would love to hear from you. Tune in next time for our next view attitude of the morning. Put your thoughts and your comments below. I am Victor Irving Jenkins. Bye for now.